But all right, so yeah, the first session is basically all most likely going to be mostly introducing characters and then going over when the team came together information. Got that in order of how I'm going to ask the questions when we get to it. So as you go through your characters, you can kind of just introduce them, the basics on them, what you want the other characters or the other players to know. Ignore the part of the sheet that talks about when the team came together. Um, I'm going to probably go ahead and start with Stryker, since I think you've got the most experience with the system over everybody else in here. To my knowledge, I don't know about Mr. Pop Tarted.
No, I do. I have much over him. Uh, so I guess it should work from the top. He doesn't have a hero name because he's not gonna say they're lame, but they're definitely not his style. Um, he's he looks pretty like forgettable, honestly. Uh, Black male, like the big thing that stands out with him is like if you look at his hands, you can tell that he's been in a lot of fights. They're scarred in a lot of places. He doesn't particularly carry a costume because, as you'll see, he's not much of the hero type so much as beating up villains falls in line with what he likes to do with his life. Um, his abilities are superhuman strength and durability, and a unique mastery over fighting. It shows itself in like a variety of different ways. Mostly, it's just he's really good at hitting people, and the longer the fight and the more into it he gets, the the harder it gets to knock him down. The more likely he is to break things surrounding him, and the more intense he fights. Typically, like the only times he's like severely in an extended engagement. Um, the backstory questions: Who changed you? Well, he growing up was part of a gang that had the practice of money fighting with people they kind of picked up off from the streets, and he'd been in that for a couple of years, and someone in the crowd was wanted to hedge the bets in their favor. So what they had done was use a more twisted version of emotion control to put his mind in the state of fight or flight um, for multiple matches in a row, and eventually the overstimulation in his brain caused the second surge of energy, which has he's come to understand as his power, so to speak, resulted in him killing a number of people and escaping that kind of horrible circle his life was in for a while. Which leads into the next question: How did you escape from them? Violence, and a lot of it, until eventually there was no one in the way to violence towards. Um, who outside of the team tries to take care of you? Way out of that structure, there happened to be a woman getting mugged, who was a researcher by the name of Lucy Blackwell, and the guy happened to get like taken down by the door that Stryker put like straight off its hinges, and that's kind of how they first met. Ever since, she has a deep interest in teenage psychology in terms of like how superpowers play with it, and she is a woman of relatively noble intentions. So when she saw someone who was like homeless, unemployed, alone, and starving, she decided to like try to lend aid where she can, which mostly now resolves in her being somewhat of a mixture of legal guardian and like guidance counselor. She tries to get him involved in the community and make new friends, which is how he ended up joining this team in the first place, which she begrudgingly follows because, unlike a lot of people, she doesn't talk down to him, and that's kind of a big deal internally for him. Uh, why do you try to be a hero? Kind of twofold. That this first person in his life who was showing him a modicum of respect thinks that he can fill the role, even though he doesn't feel that way. The biggest reason is after getting that rush of power, he doesn't he feels empty without fighting now, and the only way to do that in a way that doesn't get you arrested is fighting villains, and he doesn't want to get arrested, so he can keep fighting, and that endless cycle continues upon itself. You said don't do the last question. I don't know if you want to go over the Bull's Heart until the people in question introduce their characters or not. Uh,
Yeah, we can wait until the other ones are there, so it's a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yep.
Was the audio for Velgate on anybody else?
No.
I was kind of going in and out a little bit. Not so much that I could understand him, but it was static yet.
Yeah, I caught what you were saying, but I lose like a syllable every 2 seconds.
That's Discord, sadly. I like Discord's like that all the time. I literally just stepped out of a session where I was like getting half sentences, and I was like, okay, time to play detective. Hopefully, we'll be more merciful upon you in the future.
I also know that typically if somebody's talking and I do anything else on the computer, if I like open up another window or anything for notes, they get staticky while it's loading up and everything too. So if you're doing anything else, that could be part of it.
Keep that in mind, but I was not.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the beauty of it. My character's an outsider, doesn't really know you guys that well, and so if I miss something in there, it's just my character's ignorance. Got it.
That works pretty well then. Anybody else have any questions about anything that he said? We've done a lot of talking behind the scenes and everything, so I don't need to go into a lot of questions right now myself, I don't think. If not,
I'm good.
Then we'll go on.
I purposely only skimmed a little bit of what you guys were all talking about to know enough. I don't want to know too much about the characters to start with.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's
part of his shtick is discovering everything.
Granted, I'm pretty sure you'll learn most about Stryker very quickly because he's not like one of those cagey, like, I hide my past. Like, you ask him, he's just usually just kind of gives you this.
Subterfuge is not your strong suit.
He just doesn't give a shit. It's not like manipulation, information war. He's just like, fucking whatever. Like, what are you gonna do with it? My past is that I'm a loser. Like, where are you gonna go? Oh yeah, you had no parents. Like, who's the real loser there in that interaction?
All right. On that note, go over to Amphitrite.
All right. So Amphitrite, her real name is Erin Rawls. She is someone who has hydrokinesis. She has elemental control. She can control water, water vapor, any and all forms of water she has command over. When she's in civilian mode, she's fairly casual, dresses like you would expect a 17-year-old to dress, nothing fancy, mythological costume. So she's tried to play into some of that Amphitrite Greek mythology stuff because it gave her something to focus on aside from how she manifested her powers. And so it was something to allow her to form a better heroic identity. So backstory question, when did she first use her power? Well, she's actually been subconsciously utilizing her power almost all of her life. And it was because all of her beverages would always stay the perfect temperature. Like, she can look back now and see that, but like her slushies would always stay frozen, her hot chocolate hot, things like that. But the more powerful form of her hydrokinesis manifested earlier this year in game during a family trip to a lake. She caused a tidal wave. She injured 21 people, and as far as she knows, she killed her brother Nick, though she may have killed others. She's not certain. He was 13 years old. He died of a punctured lung, and she was right there when he did. outside of the team who helps her control her powers, while her parents are still sort of trying to process the fact that their daughter killed their son, though it wasn't her fault. She doesn't know why she has these powers. She doesn't know like what caused her to activate these powers. She just knows it happened. She's continuing to train to use her powers so that she can learn to control them, so that she can utilize them and not ever cause another issue like she did at the lake. She cares about the team because they've really become sort of a replacement family. She's sort of distanced herself from her parents because she knows that they sort of subconsciously blame her, and she blames herself. And so by focusing in on the team, that's allowing her to sort of build a different family. I think that's it.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to ask or anything? And if not, then we will move on to, let's see, Obsidian Shade.
All right. Yeah, my character's name is Norman Stackhouse. His hero's name is Obsidian Shade. The sort of concept of the hero Obsidian Shade is a little different. Obsidian Shade has actually been around for about 75, 80 years. And though it's sort of passed down between from father to son when they become of age, which is 16. And so right now, Norman is sort of the new Obsidian Shade, so he's sort of getting his bearings, trying to live up to the name and whatnot. The team all knows this prior to the first session, as it was sort of important, and once he got to know you guys, he brought it out. He's a white male. He wears the standard hero outfit that's been passed down. When he's not in his hero outfit, he usually wears like a hood or something, a hoodie that he can cover his face with if he needs to. And he has a little scarecrow insignia. His abilities, his legacies, focuses on shadow powers. Right now he has shadow control, shadow portals, and shadow cloak stealth. I guess I'll get into the backstory questions. When did you officially become a part of your legacy? As I said, when you reach 16, that's when you get your powers. Before that, you're sort of trained to inherit the powers. Usually, when you get the powers, the last hero slowly loses them. What is the greatest accomplishment of your legacy? Obsidian Shade stopped the last attack made by their nemesis, Morningstar. He escaped, but hundreds, if not thousands, of lives were saved. And this was 2 years ago, so it was when his father was Obsidian Shade. How does the public perceive your legacy? Well, people sort of, since it's not publicly known that Obsidian Shade is multiple people, they just sort of seem like not immortal, but perhaps he has some sort of ability that increases his lifespan. And because he's been around from like the original generation of heroes, people view him as like pretty powerful, which is why Norman has a lot of pressure when trying to live up to his name. How does your legacy tie into your reasons for being a hero? Again, he grew up learning how to be Obsidian Shade. He was an only child, so he was always known to be the one that would inherit it. So he has to keep the legacy alive, and those that came before him were powerful, so he has to follow in their footsteps. And why do you care about your team? In all honesty, when he first met them, he probably just respected their power, because it's sort of been Obsidian Shade's way, where he has a team and he doesn't try to get publicity, but he tries to help them out from the shadows. So he's always known that he had to find a good team, and while he respected your powers, as time went on, he started embracing the relationships that he didn't have when he was sort of all alone being taught by his father.
Okay. Anybody? Anything to ask or anything?
How does the Obsidian Shade legacy pass down and the public's belief that he's one person throughout time? How does that get played out when you're suddenly going to high school?
Well, I'm homeschooled by my father.
Okay,
Not
gotcha.
not just in power things, but like math, English. all
You've
that
been
stuff.
sequestered away.
Yeah, basically, I'm not like.
Give anything away. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't quite have a normal childhood. I couldn't go out and play with friends or whatnot because I was always having to learn. Generally, because usually when they start at 16, and usually when the Obsidian Shade retires, he's around 40-ish. So the heights don't change too much, and the builds usually don't change too much because they're related. So they're usually similar builds. Plus, they're always in the shadow, so it doesn't bring too much notice. But the first few years are definitely a lot of like work trying to not get noticed because you have less skill, and that's sort of the place he's in right now.
Okay. Variable.
Sorry, had to close out something real quick. All right, I'm Thomas Andrews. Hero name is Variable, at least for right now. I'm going to do this sort of in reverse order and talk about family first. Since he's a Scion, one of his parents was a villain. Went with mom for that. Back in the day, she was a big-time magic user / mercenary. Basically, I was kind of thinking along the lines of Magic Deathstroke. Kyle, do you necessarily want me to go into like what her turning point was, since that's on our timeline, or what?
I mean, it's what you want to go into as far as what you probably would have told the other characters, or they may have discovered by now, or something like that.
Okay, I think I have talked to at least two. We did decide I've talked to at least one or two about it, so whatever.
And I know that on the character sheet too, the playbook, I know there's some questions. You can kind of frame all of that in the form with those questions.
Right. No, yeah. I was getting this part out of the way first. Basically, back in the day, like I said, she was a big-time magic-using mercenary. Just after Thomas was born, I think when he was about 2, we said she got a hold of something that pretty much took her to god-level power. Was fighting a local team, basically, or a local team of teenage superheroes that she had fought with a bunch of times. Their mentor was away for the actual fight, ended up showing up after everything was over, turned one of them into a baby and destroyed his eyes in the process. That ended up sort of shocking her out of it. We figured, since she had just had a kid, seeing a kid in that position sort of freaked her out. She cut herself off from magic and let herself be arrested. Thomas himself hasn't met with her too many times, mostly like a visit on his birthday, that kind of thing. He has more recently been showing an aptitude toward probability-based magic. The 3 areas are probability, probability, summoning / conjuring, and reality warping. His mom was skilled in all 3. Everyone starts with at least one. Kyle may or may not at some point let me expand on them and have others, but for right now, he's got probability magic. That one was kind of like Fee, where he had been using it subconsciously for a long time, just in the form of having unusually good luck with stuff. The first big thing happened a few months ago with a group of guys that tried to attack him, and the bullets just happened to ping all over the place off of light poles and shit as he would coincidentally duck to pick up a quarter, or just random crap like that. Ended up taking out the whole group without him even knowing they were there. So after that, mom and dad got together with a hero called Dream Eternal, who had been the one leading the teen heroes back in the day. They decided they don't want him to become a villain like she was. So, hey, best way to do that is for him to be a hero instead. He's only like 15, so not super sure if he wants to. I mean, heroes are cool and all, but we'd kind of just like to be a teenager. Let me see, what were the actual questions for the backstory? I think I've answered a few of them just in saying that.
Yeah, I think you got most of them covered there.
Okay, then yeah. Yeah, let me see. yeah, I think the only one left was why do you care about the team? Partly because I was hooked up with the team through Dream Eternal, so like I care about staying with them a little bit out of a sense of duty because I got this big dude watching my back and making sure that I do. But I mean, these guys aren't just straight up, we're gonna go be heroes. Everyone in here seems more just regular teens, but they also have superpowers. So that kind of makes me feel a little bit better since I'm not even sure if I necessarily want to be a hero just yet. So starting to see them a little bit more as friends than anything else.
Okay. Questions or anything? And if not, then we will move on to Adam.
Let's see. Adam is well, he's from a world that he can't pronounce in your vocal patterns, and his name is unpronounceable to you as well. So he's been calling it, for lack of a better term, he's been calling his home Microsa, and he goes by the name of Adam because he thinks it's funny that it sounds like Adam, as in molecules and atoms, and his world is contained entirely within the cells of some person on Earth. It's the kind of the end of Men in Black, or during the middle of Men in Black, the whole world inside of a marble, or the whole galaxy inside of a marble. That world exists somewhere out there, actually in the city, potentially outside of it now. His parents are involved in what is effectively his world's NASA program or something akin to that, where they're developing dimensional shifting vehicles that allow them to travel to other worlds, to leave their little dimensional bubble. And he heard about that, thought that was kind of neat, thought he'd take a little joyride and take a look at this place that his parents had been kind of talking about quietly. And he came to Earth and by stealing his parents' car. After he did some sightseeing, he went back to where he arrived and found that he could not go back, and has pieced together, he thinks that he needs to be within, be near the person his world exists. So that person, was at a particular location and left and went somewhere else later. So he's basically trapped on Earth. He's incredibly inquisitive. He's really enjoying checking out Earth. Where do you come from? That's basically that. Why did you come to Earth? There was an accident, stealing the car. Why do you want to stay here? He's kind of stuck. He knows that he's going to be in trouble with his parents when he goes home, so he's a little torn. He's kind of like, well, this can last a little while because I don't want to be in trouble right now. But he knows that he's gonna face the music at some point. Why did they want you to come home? I would assume it's because my parents love me. I haven't had contact with him, so I don't know. Why do you care about the team? Because, well, he got here and originally just kind of tooled around on his own, but now he's stuck. So he figures he's got to have at least, he's got to try to. He's social. He wants to get to know Earthlings because he has found Earthlings to be incredibly interesting, and Earth itself to be incredibly interesting because it's very, very different from his home. The people are very different from his people. And so he's basically hanging around with them because at least for the most part, there might be some conflict in there somewhere, but for the most part, they've been nice to him, and they've been accepting of him. And maybe one or two of them have been equally as interested to hear about his world as he has been to explore Earth. His real form is something a little bit more bizarre and out there, and it looks like atoms and molecules and lights and sparkles and stuff inside of like a body, a translucent skin. He's able to shift his form, and so he keeps a human guise most of the time, but it's never quite right. It's always a little off. because he's not terribly good at he hasn't perfected looking like a human yet. So there's always something that's a little bit off about him. You have that's one of his powers, is that he can shape change, and you guys have come to realize as of late, a few times hanging around with him, that he has, you found yourself thinking about, like, I could really go for this snack, or I've got to get home. And then, moments later, Adam is suggesting that we go get that snack, or has that snack for you, or to get home, and says, hey, you need to get home, I can give you a ride, without you having to ask him. That's kind of him, unless there's any questions.
Oh God, that'd be really weird.
If there's no questions, we'll circle back around to Stryker, if you want to hit like your relationships and influence.
Yeah, thankfully they're kind of the same thing. Only my love and rival get them. So, the big thing about the bull is the bull's heart, which is two specific targets of their attention and emotions. You get a couple of different roles. The one I particularly picked was defender, in which case I can use danger instead of savior when I'm trying to defend either my love or my rival. My love is 5. I'd say we met before everyone else, like pretty early on for him. I maybe like 2 months after he gained his power, maybe 3, and like we bonded over our shared negative experience with our powers, and he found someone his age that didn't use him or actually cared about him, which he wasn't used to, still isn't used to, and now has kind of incorporated her a lot into his life. Like they try to find work together. He tries to help teach her how to be more alright with using her powers, and she teaches him, like, I don't know, high school education, because he has none. You would know him basically as her guard dog. Like,
Oh.
there have been times that people have tried to pass shit by fire, and they regretted it deep, but it was already too late. That tends to be the number one source of the fights he picks up, at least semi-unintentionally. His rival, I decided, was going to be Obsidian Shade over there. I think mostly because, like, their lifestyles are so vastly different that it causes a lot of friction between the two of them. I don't know the exact thing that he did that set me off, but a shared event in both of our backstories is that we get into a huge fight that involves probably me breaking a series of buildings. Whether he was part of that breakage is another question, but it marked the start of a very rocky relationship where he's part of the team, and he knows that Phi's all about family through the team, and while he doesn't agree with that, she would be sad if he died, so he's like, I gotta defend him. But he doesn't really like talking to him. Outside of that, I guess I should also mention Longshot, who was an NPC I originally intended to be my rival, and I guess in a way still is. She is someone who is the kind of hero that I think Andrews wouldn't like. Thomas Andrews would not like. High and mighty, like, all for the good, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Tune her out for like half an hour.
Oh yeah, girl, fuck that shit.
she's like, violence is not the answer. It should be a deterrent. Blah blah. And like, God, he just doesn't want to listen to a goddamn thing she ever says. The problem being is that like she's a sniper position, and she usually keeps a mask on. But the one time he saw it off, he saw a deep resemblance between her and his caretaker Lucy. And while he's pretty sure they're not related, it kind of upheaves this strange desire to protect her when she's in danger. It to the point where like she's probably priority 2 over 5. He just can't help himself, and it makes him really confused and makes her confused. Their entire relationship's weird, and he just hopes that he never runs into her, and she kind of follows him, so it ends up happening anyways.
So the incident between you and Obsidian Shade, you said destroyed buildings, as in entire buildings, or like through walls of certain buildings, and
It depends. I mean, it is the shame of his legacy as his relationship. So
Yeah,
probably pretty bad.
I wrote a little bit about it. We can get into that later. I didn't have multiple buildings, but I mean, it could easily be expanded into that.
Because I guess I didn't mention it, but I did take a move called Inner China Shop, where in exchange for collateral damage, I can get extra options when I directly engage with something. I'm gonna give you all a hint. There's gonna be a rare instance when I'm not using that move. So yeah, it probably was a couple.
okay, it's good to know. We'll go to 5 then, with your relationships and influence.
Okay, so I actually only have one of the relationships. So if anyone wants to volunteer to be someone that she once hurt with her powers, please let me know. Obviously mentioned that she hangs out all the time with Stryker. She's really kind of adopted him as her little brother since her brother Nick passed away. She met Stryker and she just instantly was like, nope, that one's mine. And so he's become her little brother, and she wants to do everything she can to help him and to basically build up this sort of family so that she can try to replace what she's lost.
Man, every
She has
time you say that as like a player, I'm just like, fuck, man, that sounds so rough for Stryker. Like just staring at a replacement the entire time. I'm like, ooh. But then like when you describe what it's like, I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. But like usually when people say that, it's like the kind of thing where they only call you by the name of the person they lost, and it's like,
Oh, yeah, no, it's one of those things she would never say it out loud, but it's in the back of her mind.
okay.
So I chose the happy facade, and you know, she does her best to try to put on this happy facade to try to be a peacemaker between Stryker, between Obsidian Shade, just to try to keep everyone sort of together and as a team. But she's aware that it doesn't always work, but she tries.
Okay.
And as just to throw it out there, I could possibly be the one you hurt. Maybe
Okay,
Obsidian
yeah.
Shade and Stryker were getting into a fight. You wanted to protect him, but you went a little overboard.
No, absolutely. I could absolutely see that.
Ah, fuck. If that's how that fight ended, that probably how it ended in Stryker saying that they're not fighting anymore and they're friends. Oh, I'm gonna have to pretend to be friends with Obsidian. Oh, it's getting worse. So
Well,
damn.
actually, that could be how the fight started, is that they were sparring. She accidentally hits Obsidian Shade. She starts to freak out, and then Stryker goes after him for making her freak out.
That would also still happen.
The misunderstanding rivalry.
What? Teenagers acting irrationally and having horrible misunderstandings with each other? No, that never happens.
So unrealistic.
Yes.
You know, like almost all of Stryker's relationships with people in this game are a series of misunderstandings or complicated, convoluted messes.
So with the happy facade, you have to give influence to 3 different teammates. what influence is basically in the game is you get a plus if somebody has influence over a character and they do anything roll towards that character, they get a +1 towards that action, or they can use it to like actually expend it to get a +2 to an action, and it can also be used like all adults have influence over all of you, and so they can use that influence to try to shift your labels around when they tell you, what's what, like what you are, how the world works, and things like that. So it's sort of a kind of almost like a respect mechanic for how you feel towards other people. They have influence because you care about what they think about you, basically.
Okay, so I would say probably Fee would have influence with perhaps Thomas with Variable because they both sort of came into their powers in sort of a relatively interesting way. And so maybe they've bonded over that shared sort of, we have these crazy ass powers, what the hell? And so they sort of have that sort of respect. Obviously, I guess Stryker. And can you have sort of negative influence?
No, you either have it or you don't.
You just don't like them. Who do you not like? Now you're exposed.
Well, I was gonna say, obviously, if she hurt Obsidian Shade, then she's not gonna want to, be around him because that's gonna remind her of how she hurt other people.
Mm.
So I mean, he wouldn't hold a grudge. Again, he starts to respect the bonds he has with you guys.
Oh no, but she's gonna hold the grudge herself.
Well,
So she's not going to really care what you think.
Hey,
And perhaps the happy facade would go well with Adam. Like he wants to learn more about things, so she's like, "Yeah, let's go do something normal," to try to sort of mask everything over.
Normal for you, but like completely new and interesting for him.
Right. Let's go do something quote unquote normal that the rest of humans do.
Buying a newspaper is amazing.
Oh, it's spectacular. You don't have information.
Come on, teenagers, let us go teenage the people.
I like this weird thing that would result as these outings, because I'm sure the Stryker's there, is that in two different perspectives, it's people learning about things. Because Stryker he doesn't know half. It's the second she starts anything that revolves around educated knowledge, this is how we feel about science. It'd be like, and then Adam being like, cool, and it's just complete different energy levels for people being exposed to something they know nothing about.
We're like, we're gonna go to the zoo. Really? Yes, we're going to the zoo.
Yeah, there's two reallys. One that's like, really? And really?
The zoo? Really?
I still, I mean, I'm the one who's like, let's go to the zoo, even today.
Adam is like, the zoo is amazing.
Strikers are different.
Well, she'll buy Stryker ice cream and be like, here.
He begrudgingly eats his Dippin' Dots while he watches the Lions,
Yeah.
pouting into his ice cream.
Like the one person in the world who can eat ice cream and be angry.
He just got this scowl on his face. He's just looking at them being happy and just like, what the hell is wrong with them? At least I have ice cream.
Imagining him eating it really angrily with it's smeared all over the lower half of his face because he's just mashing it into his face because he's so mad.
He's not like a pure ball of rage.
And he makes sure to get the flavors that he hates because he doesn't want to enjoy it.
I imagine for the rest of the team, it's what do you think he's 5? But it actually works every time. He's just quietly eating. And you're like, is that just the way to deal with Stryker? Just bribe him? Because he hasn't had much sweets ever. So he actually does like them quite a bit. The team will come to realize it's not very hard to guide Stryker's actions if you really try.
Oh.
Right. Obsidian Shade, relationships and influence.
Yeah. As we said before, I once got caught doing something that changed my legacy with Stryker. What I put is we had a heated argument and we started getting into a physical fight due to some goading and some impulsiveness. We're teenagers. We start fighting until our surroundings were destroyed. We were then questioned, and it was brought up by my father, who then punished me, as he is very demanding. Appropriately so, though, I guess, considering the situation.
You've dishonored the Shade name.
Yeah.
You will never be the true knight.
I like to think that when Obsidian Shade first got into the team, that he didn't really have a problem with Stryker, but then he like accidentally one-upped him, like not trying to, but that's how Stryker sort of felt. Like he got the final blow right in front of him or something, and then it sort of just went back and forth, and then he started getting into it, and now there's sort of in an unhealthy amount of rivalry.
Yeah.
Where it often leads to these sort of fights, or not often, but
occasionally,
to the point that it leads to these sort of fights ever.
Yeah, I think like maybe eventually Obsidian kind of put the pieces together that it's not Stryker's base personality that has a problem with that, but when Stryker's in a fight, stuff like kill stealing, not cool. It's like you're killing the high. Don't do that.
Don't harsh my mellow, man.
Yes.
Did he
Don't
throw off
harsh
your
my
groove?
fight.
And as for my other one, I trusted Variable and told them an important secret of my legacy. I told him privately already, but it was basically because we have similar family issues, and plus the pressure of him having to live up to Obsidian Shade. He just sort of had to get something off his chest, and so he went to Variable with this problem.
Yeah, the Scion really is kind of like the anti-legacy. Like it's a good pairing for legacy drama.
And I don't have to pick anyone, because since I'm a legacy, everyone gets influence over me. Because I'm part of the team, for better or for worse, is what it says.
This is the second most edgy, ridiculous name I've had in my influence over category. Number one, still going to LS Doom. God, what a loser.
Wait, what? Back up, huh?
It's another game.
No, I know. What was that name?
LS Doom.
Like LSD, but LS Doom.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. That's brilliant.
I can't believe because of you, he almost killed me. Was it him or was the dynamite guy? I can't remember.
I think it was LS Doom that almost killed you.
Yeah, jackass.
I got big shoes to fill.
Well, yes, with that kind of name.
In front of him.
As a resident edgy name, I got some boots to fill.
My hero in the game he's talking about may have broken out our villains from prison and turned them against the team.
Oh, no.
Oops.
No, it was on purpose. It was on purpose.
I was just like, I don't really,
And I went, hey, we're brothers. You wouldn't actually kill me, right? And he turned my powers off, threw me in front of LS Doom, and LS Doom almost killed me. So that was fun. I was like, wow, cool. Thanks, bro. If I died to LS Doom, that might have been the biggest shame of my entire role-playing career. That's like dying to like a Smash Mouth, like, spin-off. Like, oh, come on.
Variable.
What?
Relationships and influence.
Oh, right. One sec. Blank is the only person who understands what I'm going through. I told them which part of me which was more like my parent, and I think we said in our Discord and stuff earlier that was Stryker.
Yeah.
Since he's been in a gang and my mom was a mercenary and pretty big in that whole stuff, I was like, hey, I got some shit. I figure he also probably thought about holding Obsidian and then thought about Stryker hitting him and was like, yeah.
I don't know if he has enough street cred to handle the mercenary story. I think we also brushed on like maybe that was when Stryker learned that you don't like being called Tommy. It's called Thomas from now on.
That
But you actually
too,
probably
yeah.
called you
Since I'm like 15, everyone still calls me Tommy, and I haven't really been able to speak up and tell anyone to stop. But like that conversation with Stryker at least got me to that point with him. So I got one person who calls me what I want to be called.
Yeah. Stryker's actually, since being trained by Mrs. Blackwell, fairly polite, which I was going to ask after everyone went over their thing, whether they said their names or their hero names to him. Because if he said your names, he would call you by your last name, like Mr. Stackhouse and stuff like that, until you're like, please stop. Cease and desist.
Excuse me.
Which he would then go to
Young,
name.
it's young Master Stackhouse of the Stackhouse clan.
He's like, he would give you a look and then go, Mr. Stackhouse is the best you're getting, friend.
I'm
Because he's like right next to fucking Phi at the time.
I'm picturing when he meets Adam, and Adam introduces himself. He tries to actually say his name, and it's like the grunts and shrieks with the human tongue, and Stryker tries to emulate it back with a Mister in front of it.
I think actually he would probably do the same thing he did for Amphitrite, when she like first gave her name, which is like he'd blink and then go, I can't pronounce that effectively. Just like the most honest, dead ass, I can't do it, man. Please give me an alternative. I don't want to fuck your name.
She's like, you can either call me Fee or you can call me Aaron. It doesn't matter, either or.
But he would probably not call anyone by your first names, except for Aaron, probably, because he's close to her. But like, yeah. He's just not used to it. He's been raised by a whole bunch of people where he was told what to do, so he's just used to calling people Mr. something.
Okay, so second one. My parent once fought and thrashed Blank. I've got to find a way to make it up to them. That is the kid hero that
actually, those relationships, like the respect part for the kid hero, still works over there, but the relationships need to be with people in the party. And since your mom's been in prison, if it's cool with Obsidian Shade, maybe your mom clashed with his dad at some point in their history, because she's been in prison most of your life, so she couldn't fight with any other teammates or anything.
I mean, that's fine with me.
Like Kid Kaleidoscope is still like one of your parents' greatest victims. You got to get respect from and all that. But yeah, for the
should I go over the respect too?
What's that?
Should I go over my two respect people?
Yeah, we can do that. So if y'all are both cool with that, though, then we'll have Obsidian Shade. Basically, y'all's legacies did fight at least once in the past before she went to prison.
I love this running trend of Obsidian Shade getting the shit kicked out of them. This is now 3 different heroes that have picked Obsidian Shade to get damaged.
To be fair, it wasn't me.
I beat the shit out of him. I accidentally beat the shit out of him.
No. You didn't beat the shit out of me. We fought. I'll just say that I dodged with a portal or something. You just smashed through a few walls.
Sure, yeah, that's what you can tell yourself, friend. I hurt you. Now,
okay.
Your dad got beat up by another hero. Man, tough life for Obsidian Shade over here.
I'm glad you're bringing the rivalry out in the open. Now this is real.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Hey, I mean, why do you think they're all so edgy? They keep losing, and they're just like, no, I'm cool, damn it, I am cool.
Someday you'll experience the true night. Like the kind of stuff that villains say as they like back away. It's whatever, Connor. I'll eventually save your life at some point.
It's gonna be one of those things. It's like, oh, we have to get somewhere in town. I'm like, oh, I have some portals. Come with me, and I just shut it after everyone comes in, except you. You just have to walk.
Yeah,
That's how I get my revenge.
just as petty as possible. That's even better.
They only had 4 cartons of ice cream left. Sorry, Stryker.
You know what, though? I'm going to feel real good when I defend you. And you're just going to turn and see the biggest smirk. Just no words, just a smirk. And then, hope you're safe, young master Stackhouse, and fucking walk away.
No,
Just the good wins. You
I'll never let you.
Your influence variable.
Right, sorry. I picked 2 people on the team. It sounds like Fee is like the least a mess out of all of us, so I'm gonna pick her. and then Stryker, since we had our little heart to heart.
Fee, you only killed your brother. You're the least messed up of all of us.
I didn't
it's close to kill.
I
She
feel like
may
if
have killed more. She's deliberately not looked into the incident to find out if she actually killed any more of those other 20 people.
But
well, as far as you know, it was only 1, so that counts.
Yes.
I didn't kill those people. The water did.
I like how there's this weird thing that's like the most stable, probably fine. The most unstable, easily Stryker. Like it's not even a question. Like they're like looking at him, they're like, yeah, it's pretty wild, but like, Stryker. And they're both paired together.
But it kind of works like this with the yin-yang kind of thing. It does kind of work.
Also, there's this weird thing where I'm just slowly accruing influence from everyone. Exactly expect. That would be hilarious. Especially if the leader of the team doesn't have influence over everyone. This like strange twist of fate where like the non-leader Stryker has influence over every single teammate.
And Stryker somehow becomes like the leader, even though he really doesn't want to be the leader. He's just like, son of a bitch.
That would
Wakes up with a sudden start like 3 months in. Wait a minute.
I just picture that like every scenario y'all come up on. If Stryker's the leader, y'all kind of look to him and go, kick some ass. That's it.
Oh no.
Punch shit really hard. Gotcha.
You say oh no, Obsidian Shave, but if you truly wanted to get back at Stryker, that would be the way. Make him the leader, because you hate every second of it. I think if you called him leader, he'd rather die. Like, just stop, please. Don't look at me.
Okay, so we're officially calling Stryker boss. Got it.
Hold on, speak for yourself. I don't know, Phil.
Fucking, it just ended the game like fucking Metal Gear Solid, like big boss. No, stop.
I like how actual like experience and training wise, Obsidian Shade is clearly the best suited to be leader, and he's the one y'all all like fought.
I feel like Obsidian Shade's getting a bad rap here. He only, like, it started with a one-sided rivalry from Stryker, which turned into a two-sided rivalry. Everything else, I mean, I've been a perfectly nice dude.
Oh yeah, none of them said they hated you. Like, only Stryker finds you annoying.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, Fee just doesn't want to talk to me ever. So
Well, that's not a you thing. That's a her thing, which I guess Stryker is trying to fix in her. So he's helping you, which I don't know how he feels about. Like, that would be one of the few times he speaks for your side, and it was the warrior. Like, he's all right. He's obviously forgiving you. You don't need to blame yourself. You should be friends. You should be friends with him.
And she just kind of like blue screens, like, okay.
He's just like, I want to throw him.
Like, just PTSD rocking in the corner. Okay.
Want to go over your respect?
Right. Okay. So I went with the person who was my parents' biggest enemy and someone that they hurt really bad. Which the person they hurt really bad is Kid Kaleidoscope, who was on that team of teen heroes, the one she turned into a baby and destroyed his eyes. He has since then grown naturally and still has all of his old memories. So he's like 15, but has the memories of having once been a teen superhero, but he can't do shit about it. Thomas hasn't even been brave enough to talk to him, but every now and then he'll just sort of stalk him for a few days and like leave presents at his house.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Why?
Even Stryker would feel like that's a bad idea. You sound like a stalker.
What if he's still mad? God.
He's like on vacation.
Don't stalk him. Send him fruit baskets.
You think he's not going to be more angry or scared by that?
He's like on vacation. He comes back. There's like a rotten edible arrangement on his front porch. Who keeps doing this to me?
I imagine by this point, his caretaker is probably just like, she sees it and just kind of moves it aside and doesn't mention it at all to him anymore.
Oh yeah, probably, because it's been happening for a bit. Like since his powers manifested and he was told the full story of like what mom did, he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, apparently chaos magic and rainbow vision don't mix very well.
Who'd have thought?
Crazy how that happens, right?
God, my fucking... I don't know how I'm going to survive multiple sessions of this from the level of laughter I'm already pulling out for myself.
Adam, you want to go over your relationships and influence?
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna say the other guy. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought you did. I got lost in the laughter.
No, sorry. The other hero is Dream Eternal, the guy who was, and I guess still is, the mentor to that teen hero group. Although now, obviously, a different group of teens, unless they just all got stuck at 16. I don't know.
Well, on the timeline, one of the teen heroes was Mockfist, who the Skolian gang later killed.
So not him. He's definitely not in the team anymore.
What was that?
No, I didn't have shit to do with his death. We're cool.
Oh, and Blue Betty, she was on the teen team, and she died during the Eschaton event in 2012.
Jesus, are they all dead?
No, just those two, and the other one had his eyes ruptured by her mom.
Great. Excellent. Anyway, a little bit better terms with... Anyway, I am on a little bit better terms with Dream Eternal, since the parents are actually the ones that reached out and, like, got him to bring me into being a hero. So he, like, sort of looks over my shoulder, I guess, every now and then. I figure he's still kind of hands-off because, like, he doesn't like me very much, but he agreed to help. So, like, he's doing enough to say that he's helping.
Yeah, he kind of watches from the shadows, but, you know, she's pretty busy all the time, so...
Oh, shit, yeah. I'm sorry, is Dream Eternal a guy or a woman?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I had seen you using both pronouns in the descriptions. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Dream Eternal is kind of androgynous and kind of appears a little differently to everybody who looks at them.
Which I feel like just manifests as a running joke of every time we meet, looking a little bit different depending on how their attitude toward me is.
If you ever try to describe them, you know, nobody else would necessarily recognize who you're describing, even if they were standing in front of them.
You know, Dream Eternal, 6 feet tall, bright green hair. You've never seen that?
It's characters like that are always interesting because I'm like, I wonder what my character would see. Like, it's just like, yeah, they're standing in front of us. It just looks like, look at Shaquille O'Neal's like, I mean, the 6 foot part's like sort of right, I guess.
All right, is there anybody else you needed to talk about on respect, or?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
I looked at those two.
Now, Adam, if you want to talk about relationships and influence.
I'm real excited about one of those relationships. I'm very curious who you pick.
Fight with Obsidian Shade. I call Tommy Thomas, and I start calling Stryker boss. Gathered from what we've been talking about here.
You know, off the audio for a sec. What happened?
I'm just going along with everything that everybody wants here. Tommy gets called Thomas by me. Point, I got to beat the crap out of Obsidian Shade because that's a thing that we do, right?
Hello, Stryker. Hello, Fee. Punch. Hello, Variable.
You've been learning about Earth by spending time with blank. I mean, the group in general, but if I have to pick a name, I guess Aaron made the comment that Diggs hanging around with Adam because she can just go do normal stuff with him, and he's thrilled to do it. I've gained, most of my understanding, most of my learning about Earth has come through all the mundane crap that all the stuff you consider mundane, Aaron. Does that work?
Yeah, like she takes them on like field trips to like the grocery store or shit like that.
We went to Kroger. I got souvenirs.
Yeah, souvenirs.
He picks out a lobster at the tank and then is horrified when she goes to cook it.
It's his pet now.
As a result, we now have a pet lobster named Douglas.
Oh, his name's Mr. Pinchy.
Okay, so I have to ask. I hope that's serious. Is it? Because that would be amazing. If in
That's
character, that is.
That is absolutely true. That is a ripoff of from The Simpsons, but he absorbs pop culture too. So
how the hell do you take care?
I think Homer had, if I remember correctly, Homer had a lobster that he wouldn't cook, and he named it Mr. Pinchy.
Yep, because he originally got it to grow it and resell it, and then he got attached to it.
Montage of him taking it on a walk on a leash, and
Yep.
he was using it to cut his sandwiches and stuff like that.
I'm picturing Adam trying to teach it to play fetch.
We now have a team mascot, Mr. Pinchy.
Saw it on TV.
I can't believe I fucking missed that. Scroll down, everyone.
By scroll down, but
Scroll down and look at the bottom of the Roll20. I looked at that picture you sent me. I was like, "What the fuck did you send me? Like a quarter of Roll20?" I didn't realize it was this one. It's me, Obsidian Shade.
Okay, and then where is it? Well, the next one is you have a crush on blank, but you keep it under wraps. So I think that since I'm keeping it under wraps, I shouldn't say what that is, who that is right now. And frankly, because I'm kind of new to the group, I'm new to the game. I'm new to talking to all of you people, and my character is new to the gang. I don't think that he's developed his crush yet, but I'll formulate that.
Well, and yeah, I'd even be okay with making it kind of like with the Bull's Love, where it's just almost like a hero worship thing, not necessarily a crush, if you'd prefer that even. So whatever you'd be more comfortable with.
It could go toward just the hero worship thing, it could be like, I must make this person my best friend. Like they're that cool and interesting, so I need to be around them more, even if it's not,
Apparently, I'm already out of the picture.
Well, I mean,
a relationship.
We
might
of
just
Obsidian Shade to be out of the picture. I think I helped you achieve your goal. You should
this relationship. Some of the best relationships are built on beating the crap out of each other.
So says Stryker.
All right, we'll see.
It's passion, right? When you feel that strongly about something, you're passionate. So, and for the outsiders, choose your demeanor, and I chose cheerful because he's just thrilled to be here. And this means that I give over me.
Holy shit! I have influence over it. It actually happened.
Wow.
So yeah, he wants to be everybody's friend. He thinks you guys are groovy.
Hooray.
Man, Stryker almost wants to say that's not what people say, but he actually doesn't know that to be true.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me.
Lord. Okay, note to self: more compliments.
And so yeah, also if
got some self-esteem issues in this group here.
if y'all haven't
That's
been
very true.
on your character sheets, there's this place for you to like add the names of the people you have influence over. So just make sure you write whoever gave you influence over them on their sheet.
I got 3 out of 4. That's pretty good.
Well, it's pretty easy when one of the person gives away 3 influence and there's only 4 other people in the group and the other person gives away everybody. Lots and lots of influence.
You say that, but does anyone else actually have influence over everyone? I might, right?
I have 3 people.
Yeah.
The only way you could get over, well, yeah. Okay,
Shit,
yeah.
are you kidding me? I'm the only one who has everyone?
Influence everybody.
Congratulations.
You
You're
are-
on the ball.
That's exactly happened. The most antisocial of the group. He's a man of few words, but those words he says really tug at the heart. I guess.
Fine, you've got influence over everybody. You're antisocial, so you can just tell us to go away. And I'll be like, sure thing.
Whatever you say, boss.
Oh no, this is like, oh my god, Connor, this is like Caden all over with the Lord thing, where he's like, do not call me Lord. And it's like 2 sessions later, everyone's like,
That
hello,
does happen a
Lord.
lot.
He's like, I want to kill Gwal.
Well, that's what you say something you don't want, and people just want to do it more because you're funny.
I guess that's how the garbage bag and shade worked out, so yeah.
Well,
Oh man. All right. So we're gonna go over when the team first came together, and like I know some of y'all met prior to this. This is kind of like when all 5 of y'all, popped
Yeah.
up together, and it's basically when Adam popped into this world too. So it's all kind of tied together with that. Um, I've got the questions in a particular order. Whenever I'll read whose question it is, and so you get first dibs on it. But this is a group effort, so if it's Stryker's question, like he kind of throws out the first idea for it, then you can all discuss it. Then I have some questions from playbooks people aren't playing, and those are just kind of open season for whoever wants to have a go at it.
Okay.
So the first one is Stryker's. We defeated a dangerous enemy. Who or what was it?
Now give me 1 second again to look over these villains to see which one.
You can also make up your own too if you want. I'm totally okay with more NPCs.
I don't know. Part of me can't. Part of me does not want Sure Sky to be part of the story. The other part of me is like, how can you not pick her though?
No.
the villain's name is Angry Bird.
The Lactomancer. It's like, that's so good, but no, I've heard horrible stories involving her. Does anyone got any like particular ideas? Because I have imagine whoever this villain was. The way I imagine it going was like they were given that like traditional like monologue-y feel that like most villains do to get themselves up, and just Stryker went punch, and it like completely broke the atmosphere of what was supposed to happen. Like, and that's where you guys learned, like, yeah, there are some heroes that just break that unspoken rule of wait and talk, like get that like that tension in the air started before the battle. So I wanted someone to be someone who's like a little bit full of themselves, so they're like extra insulted when he did that, and that was like the big start to the fight. But I don't know if any of these people are sufficiently arrogant.
Well, I do have another NPC that I haven't mentioned anywhere that I could suggest, and it would definitely fit the arrogance of it, because he's straight up kind of a modern neo-Nazi thing inspired by the heroes and villains of the 90s, so extreme.
Oh yeah, that's definitely someone Stryker would love to punch in the face immediately.
Yeah, let me pull up that sheet and get his name. Baron Bloodhelm von Kilgrave.
I remember you mentioning him to me in the past. Yeah, I'm beating this fucker.
Dressed in armored Nazi regalia with an excess of chains and spikes adorning his outfit, a tall, barrel-chested skinhead who speaks in hateful cliches that often make no sense, and he has electric powers.
Yeah,
So
sure,
let me get this
something
straight.
racist.
Not just chains and spikes, an excess of them.
Oh yeah.
Like we look at him and just go, "Damn, that's too many chains and spikes."
Yeah,
Oh,
you look at him and you wonder if he left any for anybody else.
Oh man, that gives Stryker like all kinds of flashbacks about the scums that like rolled in the game. So he would unload on that fool, probably a bit more violently than Fire's ever seen before. Taking a couple teeth with him.
Does he still wear the teeth as a chain around his neck?
God, Stryker isn't creepy.
Sorry.
Well, if he did, that kind of leads to the next question. We totally broke some major rules to win the fight. What rules did we break, and whose rules were they? And so that's for everybody. That's not any of y'all's playbook.
The rule was no teeth.
The rule of, hey, he said surrender like 2 minutes ago, Stryker.
Oh no.
You wanna stop? And Stryker's answer was, no, he's a Nazi, which means full-fledged beating. Like he put that dude like borderline in a body bag. He beat the fucking shit out of him, which probably got us mixed feelings. Because on one hand, we really took that villain out of commission for an extended period of time. On the other hand, that was like almost a war crime.
But he was a Nazi, so
Yeah, so
people were like,
it's all right. He's a Nazi.
Input from anyone else?
I mean, if we're not going to unload on Nazi McKK racist, who are we going to unload on? This is the guy, right, team?
Yeah, that would be the guy to be like, nope, we're gonna make him dust. Excuse us.
Everyone else okay with that?
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Next question is fees. We destroyed our surroundings in the fight. Where was it, and what did we destroy?
Can't imagine how that happened.
So when we were fighting, we were somewhere. So if this is, Nazi McRacist asshat, he's going to want to be somewhere where there were a lot of people around. So he was going to go make his grand sort of statement, whatever. And he was trying to convince people to go to his side. And we showed up and we destroyed this sort of small town center, like this plaza area where he was making this grand speech, because we just went to town on him.
How many fountains?
Not just Stryker, but everybody was just done with this.
Yes, get him, stop. Yes. Treat him like he's on the streets, curb stuff until he can't breathe. We taught Adam the good ways of the hood, right at the start.
And so we were in this town center, and then by the time the fight was over, it was just completely in rubble.
Man, this is making it really hard for mine when the team comes together.
Yeah, we gave recognition of a hero. I forgot that one. Hey, we're very passionate about the hero business.
Hey, we killed a Nazi, all right? We almost killed it. It wasn't like he was a good person. He's a fucking Nazi.
So
I
I,
mean, villains
so-
generally tend to not be good people, but it doesn't mean we destroyed the town center.
so
The word kill didn't come out of me first.
I'm imagining when Adam pops in, like it's while he's giving his speech before you actually showed up on the scene. So first thing he hears is like this guy just talking about exterminating people and how all this horrible shit, and he's using his lightning powers on people in the crowd and things like that. So you see this, you can probably know enough to know that it's probably not the way things normally go here. It's probably not a good guy doing this based on your own cultural experience back in your own world.
And you got to see what happens when someone gets power bombed through a fountain.
This his time on Earth, is this happening? Is this like literally the moment he arrived?
Pretty quick within, maybe not the exact moment, but like within the first 24 hours.
Arrives, he goes tooling around. It's like, oh, look at this wonderful place where all the people are running around and there's all these interesting things. And then all of a sudden, there's like this
A
bloodbath.
Nazi flies through a fountain in front of you.
And over here giving a speech, a whole bunch of people are gathered. Maybe I should go listen and see what this person is saying, like all the other people are doing. Who are those people? Why are they beating the crap out of that guy?
Well, you hear like right before that, exterminate the lesser, and just like, boom. And then Stryker saying, "There's a crack in his armor." Aim there, and just beat the shit out of him.
There was some massive lightning strike, and then all of a sudden you just see a fucking wave just hit him in the face right into Stryker's fist.
It was a team bonding exercise. We really learned how to be one as we struck and the same exact position repeated.
Next question is open-ended for whoever. We saved the life of someone important, either to the city or to us. Who was it, and why are they important?
Okay, that has to be the hero, right? That's the only reason in any scenario where a hero would recognize us for the second week.
Well, I don't know about that. I had an idea, but
I mean, let's hear it, man. Like, maybe we can incorporate it.
I said earlier, and it wouldn't really come into. It wouldn't matter for a long time, but I was thinking that maybe, what's his name?
Remort.
Remort, yeah, was sort of watching on from the shadows, but we didn't know he was there. And he sort of liked what he saw, but he won't come up to us until we probably prove ourselves a bit more.
Now, I'm gonna, because variable, not the character, but Steven, he knows this. Remort's actually the mentor of the protege from the other group I run, and he's very aloof and kind of strange to normal
He's an odd dude.
to normal human behavior, and so he very well might be like, "Those are my people."
Oh, actually, you know what? There's someone we could say. Maybe it's Longshot. And like this, that is why Stryker's response was quite as quick and violent, and like at all at the same time, like everyone gets exposed to this girl that like Stryker seems to have in a natural importance for, which man he hates talking about. So I guess this is Obsidian Shade's like ultimate weapon against him. He hates talking about Longshot.
Wasn't Longshot
so
another
much.
teen hero though, kind of like a young hero?
Yeah, well, I mean that's why there could be someone who, but she's not good at close combat, which is why I was like, maybe that's someone we saved. Like,
Saved her. Okay.
She's not really a great hero to like give us like her influence doesn't really matter to anyone besides maybe Stryker. So that's why she could be like like maybe she was in her like civilian gear, and he like pointed her out and was about to like lightning zap her.
I got you. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about Longshot as the person y'all impressed.
No, the person we saved, and then like maybe that's the part that impressed like that also fed into like what impressed the hero that Connor mentioned.
Remort.
Yeah, Remort.
Yeah.
We were protecting our own.
Yeah.
I was also going to add, if Remort was there, how about Respect, Kyle?
Respect. That would be dealing with what's going on with y'all, what y'all are going on with right now. Because this was like 2 weeks ago, basically.
Oh, okay. I was thinking this was supposed to have been before that one started. Never mind.
So Respect is growing in an incubator right now.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, never mind. I was thinking this was before that game started. So I was like, hey, before Respect joined that team, got saved by us.
So that's
now
crazy, like prologue shit.
Now this is like 2 weeks before y'all hatch.
Okay, yeah, never mind.
Questions. That was a disturbing sentence. So skip it didn't happen.
It makes sense. Our people in that game went into the future, but they couldn't actually send us back, so they just grew us new bodies and
projected their consciousness back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally normal.
Time travel. I don't know.
We just had a team bonding exercise of let's punch out the Nazi. Can we really throw stones here?
I mean, yeah, I can. I guess the start of it's changed though. Like, I think he actually got he fired the attack off, and like in normal fashion, Stryker stood in the way and took the hit for her, and then fought him. Like he straight body blocked that lightning strike, which I mean hurt like a bitch, but it wasn't enough to stop the train, the pain train that proceeded to roll into station for the next like 10 minutes.
Hey, can the pain train actually be like one of your signature moves?
I thought you were going to say no.
Which like you just fucking nonstop. I mean, I have been to China shop. That's like the definition of a pain train. I'll take Unstoppable someday so I can charge people through buildings while beating them up. It'll be perfect.
Okay, so given all of this, it leads to Adam's question. We didn't trust each other at first, but that changed. How and why?
Beating a Nazi really can bring a team together. Some of that patriotic spirit.
Adam?
Does at first mean this fight? I mean, this is really kind of this was the inciting moment of the group, really. This guy with Baron, whatever his face is.
Yeah.
At the fight, that happened suddenly because everybody on the team recognized that this guy needed to be dealt with. So it all kind of came together very quickly, and it got very violent very quickly. Just because of how it escalated. And then there was a period of time after that, everybody was kind of looking at each other a little oddly, like how did that get so violent so quickly, and how did we just go along with it? And how did it's like he was inciting a mob, and then we came in and became our own mob and did exactly what he was trying to do.
So everyone looked at Stryker,
which was just we felt a group think, and everybody started to do what well, they're doing it, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
And everybody took a look at history and said, hey, Nazis, the people in Germany that were just the regular people, just said, oh well, we're just kind of go along with this because this is how this is, and it's never going to really gain traction, and Hitler's going to be out of there, and then everything went. We all know where that went, and everybody kind of like looked at what we did as a group there, where everybody just kind of accepted, oh, it's okay to do this.
This is a weird line of thought. You're making it sound like we became Nazis by beating the Nazis.
Like, well, we felt a groupthink and mob mentality, and everybody started to be like, can I trust, what do I really know about these people? Can I trust them? This, everybody we got into, an argument about like we took and how it didn't seem, it seemed counterproductive, and maybe it wasn't the best way to handle it.
Well, I also did throw out he was attacking the crowd too while he was doing his speech and stuff, so he wasn't just like talking.
Yeah,
he was straight up attacking people.
This is a
But
villain, yeah, like straight up.
at the same time, we just like, I think, is everybody following what I'm trying to say? Is
So
that
we
like,
escalated the fight. We didn't just counter like his actions. We actually escalated the fight, escalated the violence.
Well,
without
I guess
thinking?
the only reason why I'm
just,
like
everybody.
I was speaking like I guess objective to that was just because like everyone didn't. Stryker did, and then like everyone went with him because like someone started it. It was kind of his fault. So I imagine if anything was going to turn out, it would be everyone against him, then like everyone mad at each other. Because I did throw the first stone.
Yeah,
And
and
then
even then, I wouldn't say
When
that he
everybody
without thinking.
everybody turns to violence, and then you sit back and you look at it afterwards, you're wondering like, well, okay, am I really like that? Is that person really like that? Can I trust them to have my back, or are they going to just go along with whatever the group's doing? I mean, there's no finger pointing here. It's more about being upset with what you did, somebody who started it.
But this is
Also, I think
you went along with it.
Didn't the end of that like sentence say that like we become closer through this event? It was
you-
like that.
like
He
yeah, like
started
at
off
first, like
scouting each
maybe
other
that's a
and
reasoning why there was some mistrust, but then it changed, and basically what changed it to start trusting and all that is the point of the question.
And then I think there came a point after that where we actually we sat down, and after everybody kind of stopped worrying and getting angry at themselves or at others, and we sat down and we talked about like, well, that was a situation that got very violent very quickly. We got it could have gotten out of hand, and we all kind of came together on the idea that we'll be a little bit more thoughtful
So more about letting the violence overtake and not even necessarily like there's still a crowd around.
People everywhere. There was
Yeah.
potential casualties everywhere, and we
Yeah.
just went crazy. Whereas we all kind of came out of it now with a resolve that we have to be careful of that, because yes, we're super and we can do all these strange and wonderful things, but that guy over there is going to die.
Well, I don't think Stryker would ever come to that conclusion, because I think like his actual character is indulging in and like inundating himself in that fight, that desperation. So I think everyone else can come to that conclusion. I'm just stating that like that didn't happen for Stryker. If like people asked why he fought, I mean he'd be honest, which was that like she was in danger. I moved. I had to make sure she didn't get hurt. And like,
and there may come a point
for people to be all right with him being like that violent, then yeah. But he probably wouldn't be like,
and
I won't do this in the future, because that's not.
I gotcha, but at the same time, then this becomes a question just for you, Valgate, to think about: is when the moment comes, if it comes in the game, where Stryker does, just goes in blindly without thinking and does that kind of thing, and somebody innocent dies because of it, then how does he react to that?
I guess we'd have to. It depend on who it is. I guess
To be decided now. That's just you can fine. You can not agree with that now, but because
I will preface that in the future and now he admits he's not a good person.
it's a comic book game, but at the same time, people die in comics, like actual people who die and don't get resurrected like every X-Man.
Yeah, I know. That's typically
that's fine. I'm just thinking that it was a group.
Yeah.
There came a point where everybody said, "Whoa, we got to be careful about letting that get out of hand." We're new to all of this, and we let it get away from us, and we all kind of. From your character individually, or whether you truly believe that is the better course of action in the future, that's what we agreed to, and that bonded us.
Anybody else? That okay with everybody?
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, sure. Bondage.
Okay, well, that was easy.
Whoa.
Maybe that's choice of word. Well, I mean, it's gonna be easy for everyone else because they're actually like fundamentally good people. That's the only reason why I had to argue, because I'm like, this is the first character I ever made that was not a fundamentally good person.
Well, and I think Stryker ultimately, even if he doesn't necessarily agree, he would still kind of go with what Feast did and what the others did.
Course.
So I mean, it's
he'd be like, he'd raise his hand and say, "I'll wait." As long as
Guess
it's
I'll
not-
try.
Yeah, he knows he's a piece of shit, but he's willing to try to do better because of the few people he respects.
Yeah. They think he's a better person than he is. He's going to try to at least not disappoint them. But, you know, he's also, like, he's fundamentally an honest person. So he will say, like, if it is her that is in danger, I will do the exact same thing. If it is a different situation, I will wait on everyone else's lead. As long as it's not Fi. Like, he's like, there are 2 exceptions, that's it. And otherwise, I will acquiesce to the group. Which I think is fair.
Okay. Let's see. This next one, I'm not really. We'll see how it goes. Variable. Someone important learned about your lineage and condemned you all. Who and why?
To make things fun for us, I was thinking probably one of the local gangs, depending on where this all took place. Like, whose ever territory was the closest?
I guess that would lead to, like, how would they have discovered your lineage?
I'm gonna say, since my like hero suit is basically just my mom's suit scaled down to fit a 15-year-old boy, Nazi McNazi recognized, probably shouted something about it, like recognizing the look, and one of their people overheard and was like, "Y'all."
Also, I would imagine, like, since she was like such a big force, that a lot of like the lower guys are like, they knew about her power and stuff. Because, like, you know, for the older generation, they were like, these were the villains. When you saw them fight, you had to clear, because there's a good chance you just get killed in the side effect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, would have
so
known,
I
like,
saw some of
of her.
Was it my old gang?
Sure. Why the hell not?
Oh boy.
Well, your old gang. I mean, we can do that if y'all want, but I mean, they were really more of just in it for the violence, kind of like you. They weren't necessarily like an actual organized gang per se.
I'm fine with it not being me. I was just like, well, I should at least voice it for it to be there, because like that would suck for Stryker. But I'm fine with it just being a gang, them boys on the streets, busting knees trying to get that good money.
Well, it also says someone important learned about it, though.
I don't know. I mean, like, some of these gangs sound important for the area. I don't know if that's good enough.
I mean, there could have been like an undercover cop in the gang.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Or since we had said that, like, other heroes were probably keeping tabs, or at least like awareness, like, that might be how Remort learned about who I am.
Or like additionally, maybe this is a gang that's tied to a villain, which then like fed a
goes
villain
up the
who
chain.
previously didn't, like an old teammate of his mom's that's like, ooh, a new person to use. And like in that way, they became important because it caused a domino effect.
Ooh, yeah, I like that actually.
Okay. I mean, if you want to make up a name now, or if not, I can work with that and just build story around it.
Now I'll let you.
Okay. And then I was going to throw this one in there too. This is an open-ended one again. I think it's the last one I have, since we already did Remort for Obsidian Shades. We found signs that this incident was just the start of something bigger. What were the signs?
I mean,
Oh God! Now we started a Nazi wave. I'm regretting to do it now.
I mean, I hate to
What did I
say it,
do?
but there could be like people in the crowd that were agreeing with him, like when we first started fighting, and then they ran away. Maybe he could have been like a Nazi martyr or something. That would have been pretty bad.
Great. A few months from now, everyone's gonna have like bow staffs made out of tiki torches.
So one of the things that we could say we found were basically flyers that this group was having, saying, if you like more of this, you know, if you agree with our ideology, if you agree with this, be here at this place at this time. Now, obviously, the meeting that was on the flyers didn't necessarily go through because of, the shit-kicking Nazi McNazi got. But it's enough to allude that there was at least some sort of organization there.
Oh, or you know what else would be crazy? If, like, when we beat him up, like, a business card came out of, like, his pocket, and, like, it was actually one of those people, like, tied to the main movement of, like, the Mass Registration Act. And, like, maybe this is, like, the start of a movement of trying to get villains to, like, provoke a heightened sense of scaredness in the city, so they can be like, yeah, we need registered heroes. And they're like,
No, absolutely. That would be something.
Man, there's a whole lot of ways this could go bad, huh?
I mean, it's supposed to be the start of something bigger, so whatever the big thing is, it's going to be pretty bad.
Or, I mean, you could have all of those things happen, like that there's some sort of actual, like, racist movement that people in power are manipulating to get the supers to out themselves.
Yeah, try to create, like, basically create a situation by which they can then make a sword to cut it down, and then be like, hey, look, our idea was great.
Yeah.
Heroes is the way.
Look, we saved everyone.
It's like they would know where they're situated, unlike the other vigilantes, and be like, see, the vigilantes took forever, but, like, our registered heroes were able to find and strike the problem right at its heart.
Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I'm really digging that. Oh, but real quick, going back to the last one, since the Scullions killed Mock Fist, who was part of the same team that my mom fucked up, I vote them. And, like, whoever their leader is, I guess.
Okay, so something tied to them. Got it.
Yeah, that.
Man, this is a lot more positive than the last, like full team comes together. But then again, that was because there was a doomed in that team, which is, like, instantly it's gonna be dark, because it's just like we lost something important. It's like that never goes well. That's never a fun question to ask. Every time he's like, this is an open-ended one, I'm like, please don't say it's for the playbook. See, and he's like, it's from none of the playbooks. I'm like, whew, bullet dodge.
Hey, my character in Kyle's and my other game is a doomed, and I think we ended up losing my best friend and a carnival cruise. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Our doomed originally tried to kill a 14-year-old girl. I was like, God, don't fuck that. They were like, she's the brand new member of the team. I'm like, no, I can't handle that. Travis can't handle it. I refuse. Maybe the leader. And that's how we lost our leader of our team in the very first fight. Who was like 16. And I'm like, it's better than a 14-year-old, I guess. They were describing this kid, and I was like, I already love her, and I'm going to be emotionally compromised by the
I've only known her for 5 minutes, but if anything happens, I'll kill you all and then myself.
Yep. Which, inadvertently, that doomed question also killed another character by the end of the game. So it's the worst question ever. We killed 2 different party members. One who didn't exist and was AI controlled, and and the actual doomed himself.
Impressive.
Scary. Fuck it. Let's keep good old friendship. No Nazi beatings. No one dies there. Well, no one important.
Well, y'all didn't kill him. Y'all didn't kill him.
Nah.
It would be pretty insane.
Like I figure like whether or not Phi caused a tidal wave and killed more people, it kind of looked at like a freak accident type of thing. Not like nobody really knew who did it until she told her parents. And like you with the gang, the people you killed, like it was all underground and stuff, easily hidden. So that's why y'all weren't actually no actual like any type of repercussions on a bigger scale besides personal, emotional stuff. But if like outright, even if he is a super villain of that type, outright killing him publicly, it'd be pretty bad.
Yeah. We Batman Arkham City incapacitated. which is basically the equivalent of killing him 7 times over, but he doesn't die.
So that's all of the actual questions, but kind of want to go over some few other team-related things, just so we kind of know for when we get started. First place would be, what is a base of operations if y'all have one? And this can be anything, whether y'all like kind of claimed an abandoned warehouse somewhere, or if somebody actually has a place or something like that. Anything, whatever goes.
I mean, I've got a place, but it probably wouldn't work out too well for my dad's political career if we were all hanging out.
I mean,
Well-
after the team got to know each other, Norman would probably offer out the Stackhouse house. Because I'm assuming
Stackhouse banner.
it's at least slightly like hero-ified. I don't know.
Well, along those
I mean-
lines, since the Obsidian Shade is been around so long, would there be any sort of like safe house or hidden base somewhere in the city maybe that you make use of, that y'all hang out at, type of thing? Or
Well, the Shade Cave, yeah.
No, that's that's it.
the Shade Cave, or the
Okay.
Shade Shack?
The Shade Cave. That's the answer now.
Now the question is then, where is the Shade Cave actually located? Like, is it an actual underground cave, or is it like in a building somewhere, or?
The zoo.
I mean, it might just be like a hidden underground like bunker that's under the Stackhouse house.
I mean,
Sort of.
somebody said the zoo. I'm okay with that. Maybe the Stackhouse clan funded an entire wing of the zoo, and when it was under construction, that's how he hid the base being there.
I mean, sure, I like that. Yeah. If I can get away with that, I'll do
Stryker's gonna have the most dead expression when he sees the fucking zoo that they went to like 3 days ago again, and you're like, yeah, there's just a cave here, and it fucking unfolds from like one of the exhibits, and he's just like, are you? Is
that.
this?
See, this is a fake penguin, and then he like, it's a lever, just like pushes it over. He like lifts it up, and under it's a key. It's like a fake rock.
You guys know that penguin that apparently never moves? Yeah, that's the key.
Well, it's one everybody knows is fake. Like, it's like the penguin that greets you to the penguin aquarium wing of the zoo.
The penguin exhibit. It's one of like the. It has all the different
Well-
things about don't tap the glass and things like that. But if you turn the flipper a certain way,
Got a speaker in its mouth, and it just plays like a little blurb about penguins on a loop for everybody that comes through.
yeah.
Every now
Thank
and then,
God. If that was like,
open it up.
It's an actual penguin with a small patch of fur that comes up that you're gonna have it taped to.
I was about to say, if that was like just a real ass penguin that he, like in the middle of the exhibit, like it's just one of them's fake. I think that'd fuck up Stryker forever. Like, how do you know then which like if the animal is still when you walk in and they don't move, are they sleeping or are they a fake animal now?
I just push over a real penguin. It's like, oh wait, other one. That one over there. My bad.
Wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, that one's just really laid back.
This is what happens when you come home drunk.
I didn't make this place, okay? It's been here since I was born.
Okay, so we have the Shade Cave at the Halcyon City Zoo.
Perfect.
Hidden by a fake real penguin.
Yes.
Tommy,
Matter
why are you
of
kid climbing into the exhibit?
It's a matter of team transport. How do y'all get around?
This
I got a cool ride.
Oh yeah, I'm down for a cool ride.
But does the ride have a cool hat?
His stolen car, and it's got chameleon plating. It can look like a Earth vehicle, but it
Stryker asks the very real question of, do you have a driver's license?
yeah.
I mean, you can't really comprehend his driver's license, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have one.
It's like that. I'm pretty sure if we got stopped they ask for those. Last I learned, he kind of looks to the rest like, "Isn't that a thing that you need when you drive a vehicle on the road?" Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. But let's just I pulled over, then we don't have to worry about it.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Adam is now taking driver's ed classes.
Okay.
Do it someday.
That fixes that, I guess. Not really, because you still don't have one, but
Driver's permit right now, but no adult to drive around with him.
Well, that also leads to the questions: how does he bypass the fact that he doesn't have any ID or social security number or anything like that?
Lives completely and utterly off the grid and doesn't have any need for any of that stuff.
But I mean, to sign up for driver's license classes through like official channels and stuff, because you get a license out if they need all your information and type that sort of thing. I would imagine.
I mean, does the
For the
city
state.
does the city not have accommodations for outsiders? Are they not like normal enough for them to care about?
Wow, you just asked a really real question. Yeah, Lucid, huh? What do they do, huh?
Well, since he took on a human form, I was assuming he was trying to pass as human, and so I didn't know if he was going that route, or if he's outright presenting himself to people as being from somewhere else.
Well, here's a question for you. What are the limits of telepathy? That's what the word is. It doesn't tell me how deep that goes. Is it as simple as he goes in and said, he really wants a driver's license, and a person says, do you have a birth certificate or a social security card? And he waves his hand at them and says, "You don't need one. You don't need to see my birth certificate."
Wait.
And then the person signs them up for classes. I mean, what's the limits of telepathy? Is it just,
Jedi mind tricks?
Not mind control. Mind control is a separate ability.
Well, it's telepathy and mind blasts, and so it could be
Okay,
kind of
mind blasts,
it could be like
alright.
a obfuscating mind whammy, where like kind of double think makes them think that everything's all taken care of, and then just kind of like it's not full on mind control, but it can cause maybe such confusion that they're like,
they're not my puppet, but I can make them think, oh, you got all the sign me up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm alright with the mind blast part. I was just like, that's 100% not what telepathy is. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, so combining telepathy with mind blast can kind of pull some minor Jedi trick type of thing.
Yeah. Some Jedi mind tricking.
I'm cool with that if that's like the direction you want to take it. Part of the thing with like masks and their power descriptions is that they are vague on purpose to be personalized by the player. So if that's the way you want to go with it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, just sure, just like really simple mind trick kind of stuff. I mean, like I wanted to get the definition. It's the transmission of information from one person to another without using any known sensory channel. So I could, just imprint on the person that I've got that information, and you already filled it out. Like they remember, they think that that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that level of it.
But I can make them think something, just real basic, like, oh, that's already covered. That's taken care of.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that's fine.
I love that, like, all these ethics that 5 top strikers slowly being like questioned through Adam doing things. It's like,
well,
and then like he looks to like Fi doesn't stop him, so he's like, I guess that's okay then.
Well, would Stryker and the others know, Adam, that's how you went about taking driver's ed and stuff? Like, did he flat out tell them, oh yeah, no, I just went up there and they were asking all these questions, so I just kind of like thought at them really hard, and they said, okay, that's fine, and they gave me what I wanted? Or
at this point, Adam doesn't know that he's doing this.
Okay.
I need a ride home or something. And then Adam thinks he just gets, like, he's literally in the room with them. They think to themselves, somebody thinks to themselves, I need a ride home. Adam's not looking at them at that moment. He thinks they talked out loud.
Gotcha.
And responds and says, I can give you a ride home.
Okay, so secret mind whammies.
He's talking to he's talking to the driver, not the driver's license, but the
DMV.
There's driver's ed course person, and they say, we need this information, and they'll be like, he's just thinking, you really do need that information. And then they just kind of were like, oh, I've got that information. They don't know what it is. I didn't give her a number. She just thinks, he or she, they just think that they have it. And they continue processing it because he kind of wished he did.
Okay.
Point. We talked about that this is an ability that he is just now manifesting. It's just barely starting.
Yeah.
Time he whips out a mind blast, it's gonna just fuck him up. Because he's not prepared for that. Right now he thinks he's just getting lucky. He's like, things are working out okay. Like he's getting some things.
There's not enough trauma on this team yet. We need some more. Okay. So for like downtime, not just for the superhero stuff, but what are some of the hangouts maybe y'all go to throughout the city? Like you can just make up places here if y'all want, whatever. Like whether it's a mall or an arcade or whatever, like normal teen hangout stuff y'all might do on a semi-regular basis.
Well, I know Fee is going to try to get like a job at the House of Brews.
And Stryker will join her in that. Can't imagine what his job ended up being, Bouncer. Within like 2 weeks of it. Stryker has a couple things actually, all because of Dr. Blackwell. Like, he goes to her house on a weekly basis, like Mondays. He has a boxing gym that he's a part of because of her, which I think he does a mixture of like, that's where his career path is hopefully someday. Like once he's old enough, he wants to register to do it professionally because that allows a more then he never wanted to do that in the first place. Like he does do it occasionally through the House of Bruce, and he needs money because he does. So he does those two things like on a daily basis. I think he also uses the gym of the boxing gym to help teach Phi how to fight. That's probably like Wednesdays, and like he has he found like a back alley or a bridge that he like typically sleeps because he doesn't have a home. That he's just kind of made his own. There's like a bench or something. He's just found somewhere that's like, I don't get shanked when I sleep here. Thus, this is where I'm sleeping because I'm not going to impose on Dr. Blackwell and stay at her house for longer than one day. Which, because like, even someone like him like kind of craves beds. When you fucking get one, you're like, I kind of can't go without this for like forever, but I can't be here all the time.
Okay. Anyone else?
I mean, anything that Norman does would have to be initiated by someone else because he has no experience like going out with friends and doing stuff. So like,
Adam will drag you all over the city.
I mean, yeah, he'll follow you around just to get a view of city life and stuff because he's pretty much been sitting at home most of his life.
Maybe after that first fight, like he talked to Blackwell about it, which her response was, "I need information from that kid, like now." And he's like, "I don't want," and she's like, "Obsidian Shade is a legend," and he's like, So he's kind of like begrudgingly introduced you to her, and I think by extension, she offered going to the boxing gym to unleash that boyish youth that causes you to fight so much. Which again,
she doesn't know hopefully she wouldn't know I am a boy.
Well, she says that because Stryker, which again, Stryker just hates. Like anyone who's met the two of them, there's like you can tell he cares about her, but there's just like an endless her being lame and him being like, stop.
Right, but I think what he's getting at is like, did Stryker tell her his identity for Obsidian Shades,
No,
or
he's not. He's not. He's like. He said that it was Obsidian Shade. He didn't say that there was a person like behind Obsidian Shade, and he would mention that. Like again, he's like they have a rivalry, but he isn't trying to fuck this kid over.
so
Like,
she just knows you know Obsidian Shade, and she wants to meet that hero, not the kid behind the mask.
yeah, because like her focus is on teenagers, but overall, like all hero stuff, she's very interested in like collecting about, which is why like for Variable, she was interested in his parents as well as him, because like man, that raw data, like her main papers are going to be about teenage heroes, but she hopes to expand and incorporate like all superheroism into like cultural anthropology as like the next arc in human evolution and how that impacted people, both non-supers and supers, emotionally. She's also a massive nerd for heroes, so there's that too.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he probably refrained from talking to her like outright, but he would nod nervously to whatever she said.
She would give you a questionnaire and probably ask you to do a post that your grandfather did. like
Yeah.
So like there's this like begrudging like Stryker now owes you and he hates it. he's like, thank you for doing it for me.
Yeah, and if it makes you feel any better, he probably wouldn't be working out too much. So you'd be free of that.
Yeah, yeah, if you don't want to fight, it's like, oh, whatever. Because like that is one thing. If you do fight with Stryker, he will teach you how to be better at it. Like he's exceptionally good at fighting, and he's encountered like hundreds of different styles because he's fought every day for his life for a couple of years. So that's why he's teaching Phi that something like a style that's a mashup of a couple different things that's dedicated to women, and like he will offer that to anyone in the group who wants to learn how to fight in close quarters a bit better.
I will take him up on that.
You probably had a rough first couple weeks before you started stabilizing on style, since I assume almost nothing of like earth martial arts. So seeing nothing familiar probably was pretty rough.
I think that was a variable.
Yeah, that was me.
I can sometimes mix it up when it's a little bit quieter on my end sometimes. But then, yeah, I think you do better then.
Well,
you do better.
I could imagine there's times where Stryker is outright frustrated training with variable because, like, subconsciously his luck power is keeping him from getting hit, and so it
Yeah.
looks like variable's better at it than he really is.
Like, I'm not exactly dodging, but like I trip or flub a move at just the right time to not get hit in the face.
Oh, yeah, that would tilt him hard. Because, like, his fighting instinct is like, that should land, and it doesn't. And he's like, fuck. And he knows it's not because he's better, it's because of luck, which he can't fix. So he's like, I can't train better and eventually hit him. I just have to hope that his power doesn't activate. So it makes fighting him the most aggravating experience perhaps ever. Because it's just the ultimate wall that skill can never overcome. You'd have to be so good that there'd be a 0% chance of him dodging, and there's no way a human can get to that against a super. So he's just like, okay, let's at least like build your foundation so that you don't use your powers to dodge everything.
All right. How about Adam? I mean, I imagine Adam just kind of like anything and everything for hangouts and all that.
In particular, people watching. I mean, any place that has a crowd.
Oh,
You
good.
know,
We
and
have a
then
stalker and a people watcher. Perfect.
and the zoo. He enjoys the zoo. Museums in general. You know, anything that has like a lot of information. A place that has a lot of information about the world, whether it's a zoo or a museum or
Yeah, the Halcyon City Museum currently has a pretty popular art exhibit for modern masters featuring the works of Rob Liefeld.
Oh God.
Have you used your your weird ability to get into school? Because this sounds like school is like the ultimate myth. There's a lot of people, and there's just constant new information literally every day, and that's what you do for multiple days for months. Just learn new things.
Oh, I could sneak him into my rich kid school.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I wasn't sure where that was going with the fact that we've got a homeschool and
Yeah, nobody goes to regular school. We have
Yeah,
basically two
no.
homeschools, and the rich kid school. It's like he can go to class. They do have it, but it's also streamed as well. So it's like he can, as long as he's like taking the tests on campus, he doesn't have to go, but he could.
So it's college, basically, just at an earlier level.
I mean,
basically.
basically, yeah.
So yeah, you'd have school through him. The only one.
kid.
The one kid that actually shows up every day. Everyone else is like streaming online in their PJs.
You'll have like 3 kids that show up, and he's the one of the 3 every time, and they're like, "Wait, hold up."
Oh my god! And because they have to accommodate with large rooms in case all the students are there, the professors never actually check with attendance because they're like, "That's like 100 students, fuck that." So they actually just think he is a student there, and he's probably the favorite, and he actually isn't enrolled in any of the class.
He's incredibly cheerful and happy to be there, so he's absolutely a favorite of many of the teachers.
Yes, he would be. Absolutely.
I'd like to
I come.
It started off as like, all right, I'll let Adam like into my school, and then you look at all your courses and you see him every fucking time. You're like, I need to get this exaggerated. He's the fan favorite of every course, even ones I didn't show him.
Like he gets all of like the best in class awards at the end of the school year, and you're just like, how the fuck did this happen?
End of the week, got my picture up on the wall 80 times.
Like, student of the year, and they're like, wait, hold up.
Well, and here's the thing too. I mean, I foresee there being the potential of a point where he gets, his essentially being an alien. He gets outed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Might actually lead to increased attendance at school because students start showing up because they'll be curious. Like, oh, there's a one to our school.
Thomas just starts getting text messages. Dude, you actually got to show up. We have an alien here, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Dude, I don't even imagine. I think for apathetic rich kids like that, you don't even have to be an alien. Someone going to class every day would eventually pique their interest. They're like, yeah, let's see how long this kid can go. He'll probably get bored like the rest of us. And they're like, it's been like 2 months now, and he's still this excited. Is he like brain damaged? And then they're just gonna go and meet you, and they're like, oh, he's just like that, huh? And then you just
They start making bets on how long it'll take before the school breaks his spirit.
Yeah, and then somehow in a weird twist of fate, like they get caught up in the wave, and now there's just a wave of excited students. Attendance is at an all-time high. Thomas is like, what have I done? He's more popular than I am. What the fuck happened?
The foreign exchange student is always popular.
Yeah, but they don't know you're a foreign exchange student. They don't even know you're a transfer. They're just like, this kid comes to class.
They'll figure it out
He's
eventually.
happy here. Yeah, and he's happy here. We don't understand. What the fuck?
It's impossible. School is supposed to be a place of suffering.
Teach us your way, senpai.
Oh, God, and he would notice all of them.
You're like, is he on drugs? Is he on drugs? what kind of drugs are you? And they start asking him like what he's on, and he's like, what?
The
And he
chair.
doesn't quite.
I
Would
just
be his
enjoy
response, yeah,
life.
absolutely.
And they're like, you've changed people. Like the happiness index in the school year is just like a weird spike on when Adam's in it. Like, what the fuck changed? Students were so happy this year, and then like the year before, the year after, it's just down like near the bottom where it usually is. There was no class incidents. Everyone was attending. Everyone was happy. Reviews of teachers were all high, highest scores we've ever seen. What miracle occurred, and how can we replicate it? Like, you change school through positive enthusiasm.
Oh, I guess to sum up, yes, he does go to school, and he likes going to places where there's lots of people to watch, and museums and zoos and things like that.
Okay. The last question I have is basically then basic team communication. Like, how do y'all stay in touch when y'all aren't actually hanging out together?
That's a good question.
I guess probably just cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if Stryker has one.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you're
it
always
can-
on a leash next to Phi, so I mean you don't really
Yeah,
need
I guess
one.
there's that. Like, she just.
or I mean, you could have one of like the pay-as-you-go phones that your guardian supplies you with, so that she can contact you in an emergency, or you can contact her.
Yeah, you know what? Blackwell probably would have forced the phone on him eventually.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something that can text or receive calls.
Oh, trust me, Stryker would not allow her for something fancy. Like, even he's like, no, I can't. I refuse to take this. I also have no clue how the fuck to use it. Like, he's so bad with technology. She just eventually gave up and gave him a flip phone because he could learn that.
He has a Nokia
Only
because he
does
always
call.
gets into fights, so it doesn't get broken.
Yeah.
He has an actual brick Nokia. Yes, that's beautiful.
It can double as a weapon when I'm desperate. You would be surprised how fast the skull gives in opposition to it, rather than the integrity of the phone.
He added a strap to the back for a better grip, but it's actually like a makeshift brass knuckles.
He put some spikes on the back of the phone so he can actually use that as well.
They confiscated my knucks, but they allow the phone, so obviously I must keep it with me at all times. You're like, well, I guess the objective was met. Sort of. Blackwell gave up.
Okay, cell phones. Anything anybody else wants to add, or any other questions or anything?
Yeah, as far as like where I am during the day, I figured as busy as my dad is, there's probably like an assistant, like the happy to Tony Stark, just always trying to keep an eye on me so that I have to give them the slip before I can come and hang out with everyone. But the guy's also like really enthusiastic about, oh my god, they've told me what's going on. You're gonna be a hero? Can I meet everyone? And it's like, oh, go the fuck away.
And then he meets Blackwell, and then they're hounding everybody.
And then they get married, and it's like the most annoying marriage ever.
Please no.
Okay. Anything
Also,
else?
no smack on your assistant, but I don't know if he's good enough for Blackwell. She's the daughter of a legacy of heroes, even though she doesn't have powers. And she's rich, and she's smart. Has a PhD at like a young age. Sorry, sister, you're gonna need to step up your game.
Yeah, well, he knows how to use a gun. I don't know.
I mean, if it's anything like Alfred, he was MI6 or something.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can just,
there we go.
you
No,
just
he's not actually in my
Stryker. It's okay. It's okay. Just let her go on a date. It's fine. It's
You know
fine.
what? That actually makes some sense
No,
given
he's not actually in my six. He's just so enthusiastic about his job that he has taught himself to be one of the best fighters around.
That would catch Stryker's ears, like, best fighter, huh?
So that leads me to a question though with Stryker. Does he actually know he has powers, or does he just think he's like hyped on adrenaline and loves to fight?
I think he knows he has power, mostly because like there's the human condition cannot bring down buildings the way that he can sometimes.
Okay.
He doesn't know how to control them. Like he is feral when his powers are like at full go, but like he can when he calms down and sees that sections of brick walls have been taken down and he remembers doing it. He's like, yeah, I can't be human.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's no way. So I guess it's more by like
on here.
results. Yeah. You can't call it up.
Okay, I gotcha.
Which I think is the other reason why he fights so much. Like he might have described it the fight like it feels like an awful itch when he does it. Like there's this thing in him that needs release, and that's the only way he knows how to get it out.
If he doesn't get his ass kicked every 24 hours, he just isn't right.
I don't know about getting his ass kicked.
If he doesn't kick someone else's ass, then
yeah.
If he doesn't punch someone right in their face, he can't sleep well at night.
Oh shit! Does he start a fight club on the side?
That's
Just so
what
he can get his neck?
is.
More like he's been in a couple.
Well, and
The
I meant
House of Bruce is a superhero fight club, but that also doubles as a coffee shop.
yeah, between his gym and the House of Bruce, he's probably got it covered for most days.
Yeah, he's almost constantly in some kind of injured state, but that's where he's happiest, honestly.
I want there to be I want us to have an arc where he can't fight someone for like a week, and he's just by the end of it got the shakes, and he just doesn't look right.
You know, you make that joke, but that's what's going to happen.
Well, it is now.
He's going to get the DTs now, absolutely.
Like, I don't think he's ever experienced it, but he is very, like, when he's without for a long time, he does get scared, like, of, like, how bad it gets. Because then it's like, you know, Stryker is, at least his fights are with intention. Usually someone starts something, and where most people would take it, he just immediately, like, goes. So it's like he will bring a gun to a sword fight in terms of verbal conflict. If someone crosses a line, he does not tolerate it. Which, on like one hand, it's like that's semi-admirable, but on the other hand, dog, you really didn't have to punch him there. But like, the longer he goes without fighting, the less control he has. And like, I think for him, he's had one time where like he got in a fight and the person got severely injured, and he can't remember why or when it even started, and that worries him. And ever since, like, he started like doing the boxing club thing because it just makes him feel safe.
So by the end of that week, he's just going to be running up to people on the street. Hey man, hey you want to catch these hands? Come on, man, I need it.
Yeah, I guess that's the very joking way to put it. I was like, I gotta put some conflicts in this character because he has no qualms with his past. He's accepted it for all that it is. He thinks that he's kind of like the bottom layer of society because of what he's done, but he doesn't regret it. He's like, you know, I did what I was told. I would do the same thing as again. You know, I can only be me, and the circumstances were what they were. Now that they've changed, I'll try to change, but I'm not going to look back and be like, oh man, if only I had done this instead of that. It's just not his way. So instead, his conflict is more like trying to keep his powers in check now that they've been foisted on him. Which I guess all of you would know probably by session start, since we probably were a team for a little bit now. Like, you just ask him questions, he answers. So it's like, you know, it's not like his past. If someone asked him if he was homeless, he'd be like, yep. Which might be a little, I don't know how everyone in the group would react to that, especially about his cat casually as he'd say it. I already know Fi's like, no.
Yeah, she's like, all right, that's it. We're getting an apartment. He's gonna have a room.
Which she's like, I have no money. Which is why we started the part-time job in the first place.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, unless anybody has anything else to, again, ask or say or anything else, probably pretty good end to session 0.